Welcome to the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Let the record show that a quorum of commissioners are in attendance, and notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I hereby call this Planning and Zoning meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. At this time, we ask that please everybody in the crowd be quiet and silence your cell phones until there is an opportunity for public comment. Public comments at this meeting will be limited to 3 minutes and will be called on when the time has come. So, with that being said, we'll move on to item number 1. Discussion and action of approval of the minutes from the meeting on 12/21 of last year.
I had a couple of changes on the minutes. Where it said discuss possible action, side ordinance discussion or revisions. Members discussed suggested revisions to the draft ordinance, including the removal of tables, and it should say and the designation of city administrator in a portion of the document. And also, we determined what we were going to replace city administrator with. Y'all remember, was it code enforcer?
Yes.
Okay, so that probably needs to be reflected in the minutes. So,
I agree.
with those two corrections, I make a motion to accept the minutes. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on to item number 4, and I apologize, we skipped item number 2, public comments, and because there are no public to have comments. So just for the record on that, thank you everybody for showing up. Item number 4, discussion and possible action of vacant building ordinance. Commissioners, anybody want to start off with that?
I reread through it earlier today. Only thing on, well, one thing, I think we need to do the same thing as we did on the last one and replace city administrator with code enforcer or designee, which it already has city administrator or designee.
Catch up to you here. So you just want to take out altogether
City
Well,
administrator.
What do y'all think? It could still be the city administrator if you say code enforcer or designee. Or or you could leave it like it is and then the city administrator could designate the code enforcer.
I would leave it city administrator.
Leave it as it is.
Yeah, I guess truth be told, we probably, if I
It's
was
probably
the
gonna
city
be a
administrator, I would delegate that to somebody
Yeah.
who's going to be, already in that position.
Right.
I agree.
Okay, then the only other thing was on page 4. Where it says number 2, criminal penalties. An offense under this chapter is punishable by a fine not to exceed $500 for the first offense and up to $2,000 for subsequent offenses.
Where are we at again? I'm sorry, what page
On
are you?
page 4, it's
I don't have page numbers.
I don't either, but is it like section 312-009?
312-005.
005.
Number 2. You don't have page numbers on the,
No.
No.
really?
Vacant structure property owner shall tender an annual resignation. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we don't have a number 2. We just have, that's it.
12.005, so we're here.
Yeah, 3.12.005. All the red part, y'all see it in red?
Mm-mm.
See, did you pull it?
Oh, you're down in the
Oh,
draft.
yeah, you're down there in the draft,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hold on.
So 3.12.005, and then it has all that red section, right?
Got it.
And then right below that, it has 1 and 2. 2
Got
says
it.
criminal penalties. I personally think it should say not to exceed 500 for the first offense and up to 500 for subsequent offenses.
I tend to agree.
Because it previously defines each offense as every day that it goes along, whatever the offense is. So that's potentially $500 a day.
Now, is that something that's set by the city or the court again?
No, it'll be set by the court, but if we're setting parameters, I mean, if it's entirely up to the court, then we don't need to have any dollar amounts in here, you know?
Yeah.
But if we're gonna have some dollar amounts, let's make it something a little more, I mean, $500 a day is still, to me, crazy, you know?
Well, yeah.
But no judge is gonna do that.
Well, and you're right, and you know, and understand when we wrote these originally, it was to put teeth in it
Yeah,
so that it could be used. And the only time anybody would ever be fined anywhere near that amount would be as if it's something that they're just
Not
blatantly.
taking-
blatantly not doing anything with it and just kind of calling a bluff.
Yeah,
You know, but if we take away all the teeth for that,
well, I still think 500 a day is still pretty,
That's still pretty teethy.
well, it is pretty teethy, but at the same time, you
I
know,
mean, it's
you
just
wanna leave a judge an opportunity to be able to.
Is this something council will accept, or is this something council will kick back because of that amount?
but we already know that they're
Answer
gonna,
that question.
that they
Back.
don't like the 2,000, so I'm thinking, well, let's pass up something that'll be,
That's okay for them.
yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I would, you know, if we want to drop it a little bit, then, you know, I'm fine with that. I think if we.
You don't think we
if
should take it to 5?
Well, I think if we start high, or start, you know, a little, and then kick it to council, they're gonna rewrite it. They're gonna want to have suggestions. Then we could hear where they're at, and let them kick it back to us and see where they want to go.
If you read through the rest of the document there, everything is 500 except for the fire safety, zoning, and public health and sanitation is 2,000. But everything else is 500. And that's not every day. I think this is the only thing that says every single day is considered a separate offense. So that was just that's my opinion. I think it should be 500 for the first and then also for subsequent offenses. And I'm sure that they will send it back anyway, John, you know. But I just wanted to send something up that's reasonable. That if I were sitting on city council, I would vote for.
Right.
I'm fine with 500. I'm
Okay.
sure we'll come back for
It'll come back for
its
that.
review
Yeah.
anyway,
It's- yeah.
so let's see
For
how
many
they
things.
react to the 500.
Right, and that's why I was saying the
What's the number?
review would be, you know, if we set it 1,000, we want it to be 500, and, you know, but this, did I hear a motion? I don't know if it is.
So you have no conviction in the matter one way or the other, yeah. And what
Do y'all have any other changes? Those are my only 2 points of concern.
I think the other changes we've already incorporated. That's
We
our
really
red
have.
line.
Yeah. So, Angie, did you get all that?
No, that's okay.
Well, if they're okay, then I'll make a motion to send that on with the one change of that. Let me find it again and I'll say it. In section 3.12.005. Two criminal penalties. A, change not to exceed 500 for the first offense and up to 2,000 for subsequent offenses. To read 500 for first and for subsequent. That was my motion.
I have a motion, I have a second.
A second?
That's the seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Now, did your motion include sending this to council? With
Yeah,
that change,
that's
right?
right.
Okay, just want to make sure that,
Do we need to modify that motion at all, Andy?
Just to make sure.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay, well, I so modify.
Okay. Moving on to item number 5, discussion and possible action of the historic overlay district ordinance. The hot button.
It is.
So, let's recap a little bit, historical overlay. Historical overlay was something that the P&Z had been working on for 2 years. That would give a layer of protection over downtown areas that has already set up parameters in the, that mirror the borders of downtown district. That would give a little bit of a protection over the buildings that met the qualifications to be able to receive aid from not only the city but also from state and government authorities for preservation and renovation of buildings that qualified for the historic properties. And the last time we had seen this, the biggest issue that everybody was facing was that, nobody understood that. I think that they were feeling pushed
Almost
to
like
do
a
it. It was
HOA on steroids, the city telling them what they couldn't.
kind of I'll be darned if you tell me what I can and can't do.
Can't do with my building, right.
right.
But what I think everybody failed to realize and couldn't get past or was hung up on, that it was a district that had a committee made up of the building owners to decide what the building owners wanted to do. So that's where we left off. I think that's where everybody was hung up on, that the people who had the power to make the decisions on what the historical overlay actually was were the people who own the buildings as it is. So with that being said, we will pick up, and anybody
Here we
have
go.
any changes or comments about the historical overlay?
So if you have a building within the historical overlay, and your building's 20 years old, doesn't
not
affect you.
It doesn't affect you because it's 50 years or older,
50
correct?
years or
Or
older.
you have a 60-year-old building that's lost most of its historical significance, again, doesn't affect
count,
you,
right.
right?
Correct.
Correct.
It would only be buildings, well, it would be, a perfect example, I guess, would be Z-Market. That building would, I believe, qualify, if I'm not mistaken.
Where?
Where?
Z-Market, downtown.
Z's.
Z's.
Z's on name?
Yeah, Z's on Main. Correct me if I'm wrong, that building qualifies?
It
qualify?
would qualify.
Yes.
So the people that own that building would be able to apply for funding to help restore that building to its historic look,
Right.
which I think is a fantastic.
Which they did.
Exactly, and anybody who is a business owner who has an opportunity to apply for a grant or funding to restore their building and doesn't want that, probably doesn't understand the program.
So, if the historical overlay, if it's created, and it's put in place, does that allow me as a building owner to apply? But if it's not put in place and established, when I apply, they're like, I mean,
Without a historical overlay,
it gives, okay.
no, there has to be a historic overlay. in
For them
order
to
for
recognize,
Exactly.
okay.
For them to recognize.
For the
building.
funding.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
So, and it's per building owner that they can opt in or opt out of this. It's all it does is protect those that want to opt in. It creates a district for those that want to get that kind of help. Got it?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Well, that's the way it was written, and I think that's one of the pieces that we left off on, was that we were discussing whether or not we wanted the opt-in, opt-out option. Because if we have an opt-in, opt-out, then
Then why do you even have it?
But that's what I'm asking. If the district has to be created so the government recognizes that something's in place? for you to be able to opt in or opt out. But if I'm a building owner and I just purchased a 60-year-old building and it's lost so much and I really can't afford, even to have help to redo it. But that's what I was talking about with Cheryl, the opt-in, opt-out.
Right. And if your building isn't old enough and doesn't retain enough of its historical look, you're not gonna qualify anyway. Or if the things you wanna do to it are not in keeping with the history.
Historical, right.
Then it wouldn't be qualified for how you still do it, but you're on your own.
So does the historical overlay district protect John if I bought a building next to his and he had it restored, like Z's on Main, and then I bought the one next door to it, and I'm like, you know what, I want to paint it any color that I want, I want to change the facade. Is it going to stop me from doing what I want to protect him from his?
I don't know.
Is that what that does?
Yeah, that's what the historical overlay
Committee would do.
decide.
Okay.
There's a historical overlay, there's a paint palette that was.
Right.
Right,
But
I remember
don't
that.
see where it defines who's on, I know it did, I've seen it before,
Well,
but I don't
it's-
see it in this particular,
The historical overlay committee is defined by, I think it was, oh my gosh, it's been so long.
I remember reading it.
I think it's 7 members, 5 of which were business
Were
owners.
business
one was a
owners, and
PNC,
one was, yeah,
and
and
one
one
was a
was
Main
like Main
Street.
Street, right. But
Correct.
I don't know where that was defined, I couldn't see it.
It's up here at the top.
Is it?
Yeah, right above, it says that historical district is hereby created. Are you talking about what are the boundaries?
No.
Oh.
Who is on the committee?
Who's on the committee?
Oh. P and Z, an architect. I don't know how many business owners or building owners.
Well, it was defined, it's not in this particular document. I don't know where.
This was 2020.
Angie, do you have any idea where that might have?
Not much.
It might not be in this. I think we had a historical overlay district,
Well, there's 2.
and then there was a historical overlay committee.
Is that a
Yeah,
different
I
Ordinance.
think
document?
that's part of that other ordinance, but I can't remember what it was called.
Okay. There were definitely 2, I remember that. So we're just working on the actual overlay.
The whole purpose is to make sure that as whatever our designation is, the kind of town we are, right? Is we preserve our buildings, and if someone can opt in or opt out, then this is meaningless.
It's meaningless. It is.
And that's why I think we dropped it for a while, because the whole opt-in, opt-out kind of made this a moot point.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that,
So if you're gonna do it and you wanna protect the building, then
you don't have.
it has to have guidelines that you have to follow. If your building, and that committee would say, if there's enough of that structure they wanna preserve, then you're gonna have to follow the guidelines. If your building is not up here where it defines what qualifies, if it doesn't meet those qualifications, then the committee's not gonna get involved in the person to do whatever they want.
Is there a grandfather clause in this? Like if I'm a building owner prior to this going into effect, am I still affected or am I not? Is that even a valid question?
Well,
I think
see, the whole point about it, and that's what people get confused about, is the whole paint thing. So I wanted to paint my building and the paint scheme. And it doesn't even come into effect until, if it passes and if it goes through, and if Winnsboro has a historic overlay, and you wanted to paint your building, then you have to follow the palette. But if you never paint your building, ever, you never do any kind of updates to the facade, anything at all to the appearance of the building, then the historic overlay thing would absolutely have nothing to do with you. It's
You know, it's-
only if you want to go and change it, then you have to follow the historic
Right.
color palette.
I personally would be for sending this to council and letting them see what they think, because as a business owner and building owners, I'm all for that. I'm all for, because that's just gonna, that beautifies the town, that sets us apart from everybody
Right.
else. So I'm definitely all for this.
Well, it makes an opportunity for anybody who, people buy buildings downtown because they like downtown.
And
right?
they're investing not only in their future, but in our town's future, so yes.
So anybody who wants to come down, I don't own a building downtown, but if I did, I would definitely want to stop somebody from moving in next to me and painting the building pink
Right,
or lime green
Or blue.
some
right.
bright, ridiculous color and take away from we already call Winnsboro historic downtown.
Well,
That's
we
a
have-
label over
We have a
Winnsboro.
designation as that kind of city, so that's.
We do.
That's
So to
why
have a
this is
historic overlay
Would just go
goes
hand
hand in
in
hand
hand.
with our historic downtown.
Right.
So what we need to do,
That was the historic preservation. So we're looking at 1029, that was 1030.
Yeah. Wait, yeah, say that again?
say that again, where we at?
That ordinance that you are talking about with the commission and all that, that was the historic preservation ordinance.
Okay.
Right, okay. And did they have on there the members, what they qualify as?
Yes, how many, what were they? Who were they?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what was the last.
That was a long time, I was
Right before Craig left.
pre-July. Go ahead, keep saying it.
While you're trying to find that, I want to, there was a question about what buildings qualify. I just want to read it right here. A historic building other than a private residence. A historic building other than a private residence. A historic building other than a private residence that is at least 50 years old or older, that retains a significant amount of its physical integrity and character, defining features including location, setting, design, construction, workmanship, and or association with historical persons or events other than a private residence.
There's a common theme there.
Any of them other than a private
Other than
residence.
Private residence.
But we still have within this ordinance a residential overlay district and a residential, we refer to residential historic district.
Right.
But is that a separate
they-
animal?
I just wonder if it should stay in here or be taken out.
Well, I think the reason why it's in there is because within the boundaries of the downtown district and the historic district, there are residential properties. And that's why we made
Okay.
very clear that in the overlay,
Got
it
it.
excluded residential properties.
Yeah.
Unless somebody was to tear a house, unless the house was to be torn down and rebuilt, they couldn't rebuild a brand new home there.
You just switch ordinances, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's all right. Okay.
So John, right now, we don't have a historical overlay in effect at all, so this would be the
This is-
creation.
The only one is on West Myrtle. That's the only thing that's in effect.
Well, that's the historic.
That's the residential.
That's the ROD, Residential Overlay
Yeah,
District.
It says right here.
We have no
Ordinance.
overlay. And it just marries, correct me if I'm wrong, Angie, it just marries with the district that's already downtown, right? Just,
The historic district is already downtown, and the residential district is already over on Myrtle, but as I understand it, the historic overlay, it said, I just read it, can be on top of those other.
Yes.
So that's what's being created, or what we
Yes.
want to be created.
And all it's doing is creating an opportunity for it to be labeled that, so that a committee can be developed and funds can be available to renovate and provide that for buildings and development. It's a very cool thing. I mean, I guarantee if I was down there, I'd be like, give it to me. But that's just me.
I'll say that's,
Anyone else?
I like it. I like it.
We're gonna send it to council. If somebody makes a motion, make sure we include that, please. Do I hear a motion?
I just need the wording.
yeah, we're looking for the wording.
I didn't wait it, I just made it up.
I make a motion that we send this ordinance 1029-2020 to city council for review and approval.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
All right, let's go down to item number 6, discussion and possible action of considering alternative zoning requirements for SF1.
So,
I wanted this to be on the meeting. Thank you, Angie, for putting this on here.
okay, because and why?
Well, because we have to start one by one, all the ordinances across Winnsboro, SF1, SF2, they're all outdated. The town, it's been years since anybody's done anything with them. And
Okay.
they just need to be updated. Not that they necessarily need to be completely rewritten, but there needs to be an opportunity for update. As the town's grown and things have happened, properties have, residential areas have expanded, we just need to take a look at them, start with,
Cool.
checking them out, so.
Okay.
So, anybody find anything here?
Gosh, how many pages is that?
It's a lot. And actually, Angie, I'd like to ask if there's any way that we could get like a consultation, like a consulting firm or something that specializes in planning and zoning cities to maybe come and give us some recommendations, take a look at all of our ordinances, or at least a portion of them, and, give recommendations on what they see and how to.
You can make that request, but it's a little more depth than that because the cost attached. And you would just have to ask council to. We'll have to do some digging.
Okay.
I mean, y'all can do that too, if you find a firm. So that's how we'll have to approach it, is to find a firm. And see if council will approve the cost.
Got it. In here, I guess we're looking. We have a copy, I guess, right here of the correspondence.
Okay, what?
Angie, this one that's in here, is this the Mineola?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the first one is ours, and the
So I asked to have Mineola put in here just because it
Just
gives us a
something
little
that
bit
you
of a
could
reference.
compare.
Their expanding, growing town against ours to see, the differences. It's quite a big ordinance too, so if anybody didn't have an opportunity to really read through it, we can
Table this and come back?
table it and come back when we have some, because it's big.
Well, I'm with you, John. I need some guidance on how to approach this.
How do I know what's antiquated in this and what's not when you can barely understand some of the jargon?
Yeah, I definitely, personally, I definitely would like some time to read through it again. I'm a mechanic, I'm not a lawyer, so some of this,
Yeah.
and I'm not King James, so some of these D's and thous and stuff, I have no idea what it means. So, maybe have an opportunity to read through it all again, have a workshop.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I would definitely like to ask if there's any kind of workshops that we could have that could kind of help us along in the P and Z. Maybe there's a P and Z workshop to help us with doing what we're doing, Angie?
Are you,
Maybe asking.
are you?
Not to create a workshop for us to put our heads together, but maybe someone that could help guide us along in this P and Z journey that we're on, an actual P and Z workshop. Is there something out there maybe
Maybe.
that could help us with why we're doing what we're doing and how to do it better?
That look says, get online and find out.
Wow, I'm married to them like that.
Maybe.
I'd love to. I'd love to know more about why I'm doing what I'm doing and how to do it better for the city.
See my time.
And then maybe John wants to talk about a workshop to kind of put our heads together about this, come together at a different
Yeah,
time.
let's,
Minneota's looks more complex than it needs to be. You know.
oh, absolutely. A much bigger town, I mean, I guess it's,
Well, and when
The
it's
layout
written by a
is-
lawyer,
Mhm.
then it does make
Yeah.
it difficult to.
So what are we thinking?
well, let's see, the first, I don't have anything on that day plans, I mean, I'm just kidding. How about,
We're gonna be gone, city calendar, we're gonna be gone the 15th through the 22nd.
yeah, I was gonna say the 22nd, so that's great. Anybody else have any blackout dates?
I'll just have to find out from Cheryl, but
What about the 25th?
that's a Thursday. We have a Connect group at home, so no, I do Connect group.
We don't stop for church stuff.
I know, God's not included in all this, is he? Got it. I went on record to say
When's our
that's what
next
you said.
regular meeting on
The
the?
regular meeting is
first?
the 1st of March. Yes. So if we want to have one before, it's kind of tough, I guess, about that day. When are you leaving?
The 15th.
Okay.
So in theory, we could do Valentine's Day.
Is that a Monday?
It's a Monday.
I'm off on that day, so it doesn't matter. I've got a free schedule.
Council's next Tuesday, so we can't do that.
Maybe we do earlier in the day. If you're not working, you're working.
I don't call what he does work. It's not, really isn't.
Well, how about this? How about everybody look at their schedule and we just plan it? Is that okay?
Yes.
So what about item number 6? I hear a motion to maybe
Make a-
table it.
Make a motion to, for item 6, which is, what is it? Item 6, for discussion of possible action, considering alternative zoning requirements. Maybe making a motion to move that to a workshop.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Okay, so that was quick and painless. Mr. Knight, do you have anything you want to add?
As I said, I appreciate you all starting on that. I've started on a lot of things that schools I have never started on the planning commission, so I would have to start all over again. I appreciate it, and I know sometimes it can be kind of a situation that you get involved, but it's so important for our town to have involved in it. And I'm glad to see you looking at SFA for times over there. I think they were square footage, you know, sometimes they
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Amen. Well, then I hereby call this meeting adjourned. All right, that's all right. All right.
That's the right word.
6:05 p.m.
Good job.
I'm getting disappointed.